Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a brand new piece of sponsored content coming out of StatCheck. We are going to be doing our Spotlight series, our sponsorship series for the Mind Goblins team, which is a team based in the UK. We've just recently launched a sponsorship. You might have seen me on stream wearing a Mind Goblin shirt with the StatCheck logo on it. You can see Jack in the picture right now wearing one. I'm not going to ask you to stand up and show the mind.
Okay.
That's unnecessary. We don't need to see how much better looking you are than most 40k players, Jack. That's unnecessary. We can save that for when people see you in real life.
Also, I'm not wearing anything below this.
Perfect. Well, yeah, no,
so
we're going to keep that for the Patreon behind the scenes streams. Yep. I hope everybody's doing well. We are here to talk about the recent Mind Goblins run at the ITT, where they did successfully defend their. You won the last one as well, right? So defend your title.
Yeah, it was like there was only one player from the original 5 that won it last time, so I don't know how much you can say we defended it. It was the same team, yeah. It was.
Yeah, that's like if the name was the same, that counts as far 100%. As I'm concerned. So yeah, we've got Jack on here to talk about their run. We've got their matrices, we've got their pairings. We're going to have a general chat about how that was. But before we do that, we're going to start off. Jack, tell me a bit about Mind Goblins, what it means to you, and what the team represents in the UK community and beyond.
Mind Goblins, we started 2 years ago now. 2 years ago, February ITT 2023. There was just 5 randomers. We just started together. It was me, Adam Lane, Nick Willengirl, Don Maidlow, and a couple others. We just randomly went to an ITT, ended up going second somehow, just got our way to second, got beaten by Team England in the final. And suddenly was like, me and Don were already thinking about this at the time. We were thinking about separating ourselves because we were involved in a local St Albans scene. And we were thinking about running a competitive team. And then suddenly we were just like, yeah, let's just do this. Like we had a great ITT run. And then suddenly we're like, right, we're going to make this super competitive team. We're going to have like a prerequisite to join in. We want people that are like nice people. We want people that are, at the time, we want people that are winning GTs or going like 4-1. So there's like some progression in there because we want to start going like eventually and winning ITTs or competing in there and winning super majors. And then slowly over the last couple of years, and especially this year, we've grown with a lot of new members, a lot of really good members. I think this year we've won 5 super majors now, I think maybe 4 or 5 super majors, include 3 in a row. And everyone in the team now, I think there's about 23, 24 of us. It's basically just a hub to help each other get better. Essentially, if you can surround yourself with other better players, we're just trying to bounce off each other, practice against each other, run lists against each other, and generally just have like a nice time with people as well. Just not 40k is a hobby for most of us as well. It's not really a job for a lot of us. So you want it to be nice. You want to look forward to going away for weekends with 15 of your friends and stuff like that. So that is cool, but also while winning, right? Winning is while we also play this hobby. So you're just trying to combine the winning and the socializing together. And we just try to make this super fun but competitive team that wants to go out and smash face, but also just go out and have a laugh and be great friends as well.
Yeah, totally understandable. And obviously, you guys have been making a name for yourselves in the community. You've won a couple of ITTs now. As you say, had a good super major run. I stand by the fact I can't imagine losing to a Mind Goblin, but we don't have to worry about that. No, it's not so bad. So yeah, glad you guys are out there doing some good work and doing your best to smash it in the community while also being a good bunch of guys to hang out with. So yeah, that's why obviously we're here talking about it. So let's start with the easy bit. What did you guys take to ITT and who was on your team?
So it was me first on CSM Raiders. We had Martin Cooper on Combined Arms Astra Militarum. We had Carl Grundy on Tau Ret Cadre. Johnny Simmons on Admex Qatari Cohort. And then Chris Langton on Demons. Big
Very
boys
nice.
and little stuff.
So definitely a lot of you guys just playing the armies you're fairly comfortable on, mostly just not rocking the boat, just playing what's good right now for you guys, right? Rather than kind of going deep into let's build a team. Was there any kind of sort of general thought to the structure of your team, your composition when you're going into it? Like, how did you adapt your list? Who did you have as your push players in mind when you were going through that?
Originally, we had Tom Green in our team originally, but he had to drop sadly from ITT, and he was going to run Emperor's Children. Chris was with his twin brother Matt on the other team. We got Chris in and we said, well, Tom was kind of playing a pressure kind of role for us. with the Emperor's Children alongside Martin. So Martin was always going to be our kind of like differential player. I'm going to try and get him the better pairings, and then just not be like a push player as such, but just be like, I'm going to get you a good pairing, go out and get me a good result kind of thing. Like, I'm going to protect you in the pairings process. Everyone else is going to be more of a flex. So when Tom dropped and Chris came in, I tried to replicate that with the Demons because Chris was also playing the Necrons at the same time. And so we didn't really need Necrons in our comp. We kind of had the flex choices with me on Raiders, which was a mix of combat pressure and shooting. Same with Johnny, and same with Kyle. We kind of had the flex choices there, so we kind of wanted a bit of a pressure, big demon list, Bellacore, Lord of Bloodthirster kind of thing. So he went in there doing that. Him and Martin were our kind of push players. It turned out in the end that Chris then ended up going as more of a flex player. We kind of ended up getting him blunting into a lot of the Awakened Dynasty lists, and he was taking some draws and stuff out of them for us. But in the end, my role was the blunter. Mostly, I will take the rubbish out of the matrix for everyone else. I will take the points. I'll take as little, as many points as I can get so that everyone else gets the better matchups. Martin's going to be the priority to try and get him the push matchups, trying to see if we can get him on a better board as well. But the rest of the guys, if we can get them the better matchups, we can. Realistically, looking at like Johnny is a really good flex choice. He's normally going in there, he's got such a good army that can just blunt everyone. But then suddenly you go against someone that doesn't know AdMech, and suddenly he just goes, oh, well, I just come back with 18.
Yeah, I just accidentally got a massive score at a round that I probably shouldn't have, but the opposing team just didn't have the best understanding of exactly how to deal with that, right?
I think that's it, and I think that was where the faction mastery came into play a little bit, because if you look at it on paper, you go, okay, would you take Tau in a 5-mans at the moment? You probably wouldn't, but then you just put Kyle on there, who said, oh, I got this rec cadre list, I've run hundreds of reps on. I was like, okay, perfect. If you are confident that you've repped that many times, I'd rather you be on that than to go and pick up an army that you don't know too well, or to try another list that you haven't played too well.
And Kyle did a very solid job of bringing home 3 10-10s, 13 and a 20-0 across his 3 rounds. It's not or his 5 rounds. It's not a bad place to be, right?
No, exactly. The last time he was on my team, he was kind of like protected in the pairings. He was on a Montcar build, and we were trying to get him the better matchup. So before the event, I had to tell him, I said, look, that's not going to be your role this time, so I need you to fill a bit more of a flex role. He was trying to go with this like anti-infantry comp. I said, we've got plenty of anti-infantry in our comp, in our comp currently, so I made him take some broadsides because we were expecting a lot more like Chaos Knights and stuff. Obviously, you got the Gladius build, you got multiple Vindicators and Ballistas, so I said we do need more anti-tank in our build. Martin was running a triple Vanquisher as well, so we were trying to, we had plenty. We were looking pre-event, we were looking at certain archetypes of builds. We're looking at the Awakened Dynasties, can we kill 20 warriors in that? Have we got the ability to pin that list? We're looking at the Gladius build. Have you got anti-tank and anti-infantry? Looking at Ynnari, looking at Emperor's Children, looking at Orcs. Can you pop the trucks and then pop the infantry and stuff like that? So we were just we're trying to take all them factors into consideration before we made our comp.
Yeah, so definitely skewing towards more of that, we need to be able to deal with vehicles. That is kind of the metagame. And then also 100%. These kind of insane stat checklists like Necron Warriors that we know is fairly popular in the UK TC metagame.
For sure,
inch blocking walls with Necron Warriors is such a pain in the ass.
And I mean, we ran into Necrons, I think, every single round. I think every round we ran into them.
And how did they do into you on average, do you feel?
We were able to pin them really kind of well. They was really scared of the Possessed and Cypher list, so we were able to try and push them. But then we ended up just getting Chris played them 3 times in a row and just got 2 10s, and then I think Matt Bell beat him in the 5th round. But other than that, he was just taking the points out of there, which was just fine. It's a list that, I mean, I played with Matt on the Stat Check League at the moment, that he can just spiral people into 20s, just constantly regrowing warriors, and you're just what is going on?
And please stop trying to kill them, guys. We don't. You don't need to kill them. Just stand on the objectives, stand on the points, stand on the points.
But we managed to deal with them fairly well. Or ignore them. Ignore them and put the demons into there and go, okay, we'll beat the others.
Go and fight Bellacore in a corner for 3 rounds. Neither of you are going to die, ever. No, for sure. Right. Let's throw up. So I'm going to throw up a quick screen share here. We're going to have a look at the pairings for round one, and then we'll have a look at your matrix and kind of see how comfortable you guys were with them. So that should be showing the round one. So you guys managed to pair up into the other Mind Goblins team in round one, which is very impressive. So we here have a 59-41 win against the Mind Goblins Crocksuckers. We have a 16-4 for Aiden on Astra into Chaos Space Marines. We have a which was yourself. We have Matthew getting a 3 with Third into Martin Cooper's Astra Militarum, so a 17 for the good guys. Andy Coscone's Necrons getting a 12 into the Crystal on the Chaos Demons with an 8. Nick Willingale losing 20-0 to Johnny Simmons on the AdMech. That's that AdMech special coming through. And then Jamie Chapman and Carl Grundy pulling out a 10-10. So fairly sort of like what we're looking at here is we've got a couple of very even games and then one blowout, two blowouts for one side, one blowout for the other, kind of coming out to that reasonably big win here. So how did you guys feel going to the pairings here? What was your sort of general strategy? What list were you worried about? And what were you hoping to kind of take away here?
This was probably one of our worst matrices in the competition. The cult list causes a ton of problems. So Jamie running the Chaos Cult causes a lot of problems, especially into like someone like Martin, that we couldn't deal with the triple ACDC as such.
There we go.
The NIDS originally was bad for me, and then what we do is we got this. As you see, you got this modifier section down here, so we could modify it up so it wasn't a horrible loss. It went from a 1 to a 2. So
so just to quickly run people through the matrix system here, we're using a 1 to 5 scale on this one, with a 1 being a big loss, a 5 being a big win, and then kind of you can see here that there's a lot of not a ton of really terrible matchups on this matrix, right? We're looking at Martin having one bad matchup, Johnny having one bad matchup, you having one bad matchup, and everyone else being fairly comfortable with like everything else being at least draw or better, which is generally a pretty good space to be in for the matrix, right? You want to be looking at these things. If we're looking across at this one here, we can see that we're not super worried about the Astra, we're not super worried about the Necrons, as you said, you built your comp very much for that. The Chaos Cults only really has one big blowout. The Tyranids list is very volatile. You've got some really good ones and some really bad ones, and the Emperor's Children you're expecting to be a fairly drawish matchup. If we kind of have a look at the actual results again, if I switch back over to the nope, that's not how that works. You'll have to forgive me as I figure out this slightly changed system. To have the Mind Goblins logo in the bottom right, I had to change a couple things, and that's made it slightly weird. Okay, so if we look back over the results here, we can see that you into the Astra, you got a lower result than you would have predicted. Was that just a kind of a case of them getting board choice and pushing it away from you? Yeah,
so the matrix was set up without map and round taken into consideration, and realistically, in hindsight, I wrote this in a write-up for the England Discord as well. In hindsight, that should come down based on the map and the mission. The sweeping engagement on UKTC round 1 for my army is horrible. I cannot hide that army on that. It's really bad, and against the gunline, who then put me on a light board as well. It was
in Terraform as well,
and then he went first as well. Not good. It was just like from the start doomed. Like it's just like that's not. So that prediction should come down straight away in the pairings process. Before that, but then when he goes first, it should then come down even further.
I think for anybody who's looking at going to a team event going forward, make sure you're matrixing with the mission in mind, right? Like it's a very, very important part of the process. But we can obviously see that comes back around with Martin on the Astra Miltar for your team, doing exactly the same thing in the inverse to their Tyranids, which was one of those lists that you had a lot of volatility for in the matrix, right? You had a couple of low scores and a couple of good scores. Martin was able to push his 3.5 up to a bigger win. Andy on the Necrons getting the better side of a draw into Chris, which you guys had down as a 3. Nothing crazy there. Doesn't seem like too crazy a matchup. Nick Willingale and Johnny had that down as a 3.5, so slightly better than a draw. What was sort of the differentiating factor there for you guys? What really broke that one open for you?
I think it's the AdMech matchup. It's Johnny obviously knows the Emperor's Children matchup, I think, better. I think he knew the matchup better. I think he also on that mission on Terraform, he has more stuff to trade. Like he has more stuff to go out and Terraform, and when he goes out and Terraforms, Nick actually has to commit real units to him. That's I think the issue with Emperor's Children. That's it's a lot. Once he's committing stuff, it's his stuff's dying, and it's the elite stuff that's dying all the time. Whereas Johnny's just trading chaff a lot of the time, and then he has a lot of then anti-infantry to then pick up the army. It's not tanks and stuff that he has to worry about and deal with. So I think that matchup probably, in hindsight, was a lot better than the Matrix predicted, than we thought. But I think it was just a reserved score in the Matrix.
Reserved estimate because Emperor's Children was Nick playing the coterie list with the racking tally.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
the kind of list that could get out of hand for a chaffy based army like AdMech, right?
For sure,
It wouldn't take long for that to get out of hand, but obviously Johnny, very good with the AdMech, knows exactly what he's doing. He was able to control that through. And then we have Kyle Grundy on the solid little 3 into the Chaos Cults list, managed to constrain that one to a very normal score here, which is great into an army with that much forward pressure.
100%, yeah. I think there was just a couple of Kroot popping off somehow, a Vindicator not killing one Kroot or something, or 2 Kroot or something like that. It was some crazy thing, like they were on the table next to me, and Kyle was just going crazy about this one Kroot guy surviving and holding an objective for a terraform, and just like a complete swing. James was like, what the hell is this Vindicator's just not done this? Like, it's just what's going on.
That's what you get for relying on Vindicators in 2025.
Yeah, something like that was happening, but they looked like they were having a great game. But we were lucky. I think not lucky, but I think we were really fortunate to take the 10 out of that. That was our problem list going into the Matrix beforehand, I think.
Yeah, definitely between that and the Tyranids, right? They're definitely the two lists that you were the most looking at getting good results out of. And when you put your 2 problem lists, you put 27 out of 40 points on the 2 hardest lists on your Matrix. You're never going to be unhappy with that. No, really solid result coming out of round 1. We're going to bump over to, so for round 2 and 3, we unfortunately don't have Matrix guys. They did them on a separate tab. The classic problem of team events where you can't prep a Matrix for everybody, so you make it on the fly. You forget to do it the place you're meant to do it. I'll get onto them next time to make sure that they've got the full information. But we can jump over to the pairings for the second round, and we can have a chat about how they went. So round 2, we're playing against Psycho Cards to score 100. We have yourself into Custodies getting a 6. We have Chaos Demons into World Eaters getting a 13. We have Adeptus Mechanicus into Emperor's Children again getting a 15. Different mission, obviously pushing that out. Round 2, you get to see this as Purge the Foe.
Purge the Foe, yeah.
Martin into Death Guard with his Astral Tarm getting a 14, and Kyle getting a 13 into Space Marines gets you guys to a 61. So again, what was the thing in this round? What were you trying to engineer? What were you scared of? What were you trying to avoid?
We wanted the AdMech into the Emperor's Children, obviously after the last time, and we got it. I think they went in thinking it was a good matchup, and we were like, I don't think you just saw the last time. We were like, okay, perfect. I did want the Custodies here, but then realistically, beforehand, I would have wanted the Custodies, and then it going into Purge. Actually, you don't. And in that game, I actually went first as well. So first into Custodies has 6 units. It's like, okay, he's getting kill more the entire game, and then he's going to get a hold more at the end. It just happens like that. Other than that, I think we were looking at, we wanted the Tau into the Marines as well. That's a matchup we did get later on in the tournament as well. Kyle felt that he could deliver essentially a 4, so like a small win into that, and he delivered on that. They did it when I was talking to my opponent. They were like, we were going to take some risks out of here because it's Purge the Foe. We're going to try and get some roll to go seconds, and we're going to try and take some points off you guys because it's such a swingy mission potentially. Like 100%, we just we can go out swinging. We can deploy stuff like wildly and just see if we can get some kind of things. And in my game going first, the Custodies was able to just control everything, to react to everything that I was able to do, getting the kill mores and stuff, and control the tempo of the game. And we had a really lovely game, me and Dave.
But on the whole across the team, a lot of you guys just being more experienced players, right? You can see that in the theater. Purge the Foe is a very drawish mission, but on the whole, outside of the exceptional of Custodies, most of these trended towards small wins for you guys, which is exactly what you're looking at. Was there anything that was sort of like stand out in any of these games? Anything that you guys looked at and you were like, all right, if we did that again, we'd do it differently, or were you happy with all the pairings here?
No, I think we were happy. I think we were happy with the pairings here. I think we tried to avoid the World Eaters into Martin. Martin didn't want them. I think this was World Eaters list because it had forward deploy, because it had the Goremongers. So it goes down in his list because he has Gaunt's Ghosts and stuff. He relies on it having first drop and trying to screen out their scout. And obviously, if they have Goremongers, they can protect their own scout and stuff like that. So it does just change the matchup a little bit in his favor. So I think that was something we were looking to avoid going into that. I think that was probably the only thing we were looking at in the pairings, obviously without seeing the Matrix off memory.
Yeah, for sure. And this is definitely an example of a couple of good things in Teams context.
Mhm.
Build your list to deal with matchups, right? You
Mhm.
guys had Kyle build his list to be able to deal with vehicles lists, paired with
Yeah.
Ultramarines Gladius. What are you
Yeah.
going to complain about, right? It's exactly the questions
No,
you're, you
100%.
know, he's answering the questions you asked him to do. And
Yeah.
it's great when you can take a list that's designed to get tens into most matchups, but it's got a couple of things that is built to be like especially punishing into. And then the
Mhm.
other side of this is do your research. I know it's tough, especially during rounds like between over lunch, but you've got some time between round pairings. Have a look at what the other teams you played against, right? If you're the Emperor's Children guy on the team here, and you look at it and you're like, well, Nick Willigan has just played this matchup and gotten 20 nilled. Am I convinced that I'm like significantly better than that? Maybe not, right? Doing research is definitely like a strong component of a thing you can do at these team events, right? Like you can go and have a look, especially in round 2 and round 3. You can go and look at the team you played against. All right, cool. Maybe we don't they have information we don't, or vice versa, right? Yeah, of course, there's always some skill differential things and things like that, right? Sometimes you see a blowout and you know that it shouldn't have been a blowout and they're just better. But you guys played against the other Mind Goblins team, right? It's not like
Mhm.
that was going to be a significantly different skill gap there. So
No.
there's definitely a lot of information you can take out of that as somebody watching it. All right, let's bounce on to round 3, which is I think going to be the quickest round we'll talk about. So this round we played up against the Warwickshire Warhawks, who had a bit of a rough time of it here. Anything that's particularly stands out from this round? Unfortunately, obviously, it looks like these guys had an unfortunate round here. This is 6 objective take and hold for round 3 at UKTC,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
a very stable mission for the team that is generally, if you're better in 6 objective take and hold, you'll win in 6 objective take and hold. And yeah, we can see a lot of big scores here. So yeah, anything sort of super interesting in this round? What was the pairing strategy going in?
I think they dropped the Necrons, and this was the first time where they would drop a Necrons. And our plan always, when people were dropping this Awakened Dynasty list, was to put me and Johnny into it. And knowing that they have no real answer to that, they go, okay, you're either going to have 20 Possessed and Cypher with a Vect in your face to try and kill that blob, or you're going to have loads of anti-infantry shooting that moves, that shoots and scoots. And this one, they went away from me and went into Johnny, and that is exactly what we wanted. And then again, we were looking at Kyle with the Tau going into the Marines. So there were 2 matchups going into the game. Obviously, before the results happened, we were like, okay, these are 2 results where we're looking good over here. The Demons was interesting because it was Khorne, mono Demons, mono Khorne. So for me, I was kind of happy with that because it means I can actually shoot them, and they've got no shooting. I can have my Predators on the board starting off, and because of the Crucible Battle, I can kind of keep my distance away from it and be able to just kind of shoot at will a little bit there. But I think, yeah, we're realistically just trying to pin the Necrons and the Marines into them too, and we managed to get them 2 matchups.
Nice. So again, always good to see a plan come together, but nothing too drastically interesting here. All right, let's have a look at round 4 then. That puts us on. You guys are getting up to the top tables now, and we have another Mind Goblins team. You guys just can't get away from doing the team kills. All right, so
I've done 4 and 2 ITTs now.
I mean, stop having so many Mind Goblins teams attend then, right? That's the problem. All right, so first up, we have Lewis Archer playing Tyranids up against Johnny on his Admech. Johnny gets a 13. We have Lewis against Kyle with World Eaters against Tau getting a 10-10. Luke Harris on Necrons getting 20 by Chris on his Demons. Adam Parmentner getting a 10 with his, I'm assuming, Gladius Space Marines Ultramarines into your Chaos Space Marines. And then Mohammed getting a 3 with Orcs into Martin on the Astra. So we're going to jump back over to the Matrix again here and take a look at that. And that should be a seamless transition this time because I'm better at this. So this is Linchpin Prepare Positions. It's so nice to see this mission not be Burden of Trust. I've not had a chance to attend a UKTC event since Manchester yet, or since Nottingham. But I'm so looking forward to getting down to one and not having to play Burden of Trust this round. I'm hoping it continues to be good to everybody for the changes. So looking at the Matrix here, what are we looking at as our problem list? Again, Crusher Stampede not looking super great, but generally everybody being okay with it. Berserker Warband still having that pretty stressful matchup for Martin. You know, don't love getting 8-bound locked, right? That's with the overall leaders lists, and then everything else being fairly comfortable. You guys aren't super stressed on any of your matchups here, and obviously we saw that come out in a 30-70 win. But what was your pairing strategy going to this round? Who were you prioritizing? Who were you scared of?
I think what we do when I try and look at the pairings, I try and look at their armies and go in reverse and go, if they drop the World Eaters, who are we looking to pair into them? If they drop the Nids, who are we looking to pair into them? Necrons, etc. And we just go down the list. And when you go down the list there, Martin's not really doing anything for us. Like, he's not really an attacker. He's just saying he's getting high side of a draws into everything. So if I drop him as a defender, I can ignore the World Eaters for 100%. I'm never going to play them. And then potentially I'm going to get a board choice, light or medium, into anything else. And that's kind of what we went with. So we went with that. We're going to avoid the World Eaters for you. You're not going to have to play them. You're going to pick one of these 4, but you're going to get a 50-50 shot on if you get a light board or not with your triple Vanquisher and Rogel. Or
assuming again that they defend a list that wants a light table even in the first place, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. So we're taking the role on it, but if not, I made him make a list that you go, we're not just going to make you roll, like make you have a light board every time, because it's just never going to be.
Yeah, it's too volatile in the UGTC with only one
never,
5. Yeah,
100%. We're never going to get it, and I think we got it once in 5 rounds. Like, so before he was like, oh, it depends what board. I was like, no, it's never. We just never get in it. We just assume that we're not getting it. But he was able to get the Orcs with Mo, and choose a board that was he was able. I always think the Guard is a good matchup into the Orcs. Playing the Guard into Orcs beforehand, you just have enough screens out there just to keep stopping, especially on this mission, right? You can just hold someone down to the 3 points if you need to be.
There's so little staging area on sort of these side objectives here, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so little area to hide behind the wall that a guard squad can't just move out this building and take your primary off you, and you're going to get shot off of this one constantly, right? So very, very real problem for Warhorde without like a truly excellent pilot at the helm to get over that. Which it's a high barrier to entry for an army like Orcs into Guard right now.
Yeah, we wanted Chris into the NIDS here, but they were already aware that they don't want that, because obviously speaking among the 3 Mind Goblins teams, the other NIDS player was Chris's brother Matt, so they were already aware that that's not a good matchup. But Lewis did want me because he knew it was a good matchup for him. So we were just like the night before at the meal, obviously you'll be like, oh yeah, you're going to play me and all that. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. But yeah, we managed to get Johnny into the NIDS just to. Basically, he was there just to be able to blunt it, and in the end, he was able to get 13 points, which was really good for us, and just overperform. I was into the Marines, which is predicted a draw, but actually Adam played this really, really well. I went first, and he was able to put a ton of pressure on me. He basically tried to gel me by turn 3. And then didn't realize how much damage my army could do, and I killed half his army. And then
the classic. I walked into a Chaos Space Marine army, and I was surprised when it kept doing damage. Well, it's got uncapped damage if you let it, bro.
I think I probably got lucky as well with a bunch of stuff as well, killing a ballistas, which I shouldn't probably have killed. And but the Lord was be able to kill something, fall back behind the wall, and just be able to lucky he wrapped a Rhino, and I was able just to get Cypher out and kill both squads around the Rhino, and it was just it was there was a few good plays. We had a really, really good game. It's obviously always good when you're playing the other captains. So I played Aidan, the other captain, and I played Adam, the other captain. So we actually had really lovely games where we're both running
the gauntlet of proving why you're on Mind Goblins A, right?
Yeah, we just if you beat me, then that's it. You get the spot, you get the trophy.
Exactly, that's how it should work.
But when you're facing your own team at 3-0, it's kind of also sucks, right? Because one of you's going to potentially win. You kind of also don't want to draw either.
Well, I mean that happened to a bunch of us at last ITT, so let's not.
I know.
I don't think you guys get to win.
I know. But yeah, I think we got the matchups we wanted here. Johnny did just a really good job into the NIDS, and I think Martin overperformed his matrix into the Orcs. I think everyone else kind of just held it tight to the matrix, really.
Yeah, it was really the biggest one was Martin overperforming the Orcs and Chris absolutely blowing out the Necrons matchup.
Chris into the Necrons. I think.
He got a 20-0.
Yeah, I think Luke. I think self-admittedly said he just didn't know it too well, didn't know the matchup too well, and then went home. And I think by Monday he said he'd already played 5 games. I was like, because he's on our War of the Roses team, and he was just like, I want to run this build. I've already spoken to Matt and AQC about it, and I've run 5 games already, 5 reps into it. I was like, okay. He's like, I need to get this build down. I was like, so,
fair enough.
Which is super cool. Which is obviously what you want to see in your team as well, to be like, okay, that game didn't go as planned because of I didn't know the matchup too well, so I am going to
resolve that problem for next time.
100%.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. All right, and that moves us on to the final round. You guys didn't end up playing round 6, as I can understand, right?
It was we played round 6, but it was
you guys just did the same pairings as round 5 again, right? So
we did the same pairings as round 5.
Yeah, so we'll cover round 5 as the last majorly played round.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of do a wrap up on the event. So here, I believe I need to switch over to round 5 and then switch back over to this tab. This is too much moving for me. Okay, so we have Kyle on his tab playing against Jonathan on his Grey Knights. You guys are against one of the Team England teams, right? The Lightning. We have Chris on Chaos Demons against Necrons from Matt Bell. We have Johnny on his AdMech against James Webster on Eldar. Yourself on Chaos Space Marines against Raph on Emperor's Children, and then Martin Cooper on Astra against Courtney on Orcs. So very, very tight round here. We've got one blowout for, one blowout against. I mean, like blowout is a strong word, and then one upside of a draw and 2 draws. So, what was the pairing strategy for this round? What were you worried about? What went wrong? What went right? So let's jump over to our matrix. We've got again here though a very, very above average matrix, right? If we look at the average here, your average is 3.46, which is above a 3, with 3 being the average. So you guys were all feeling pretty good here. You've got 1 negative matchup on the entire matrix. What went wrong? What's happening?
It's scorched earth. I think we were expecting a draw out of this round just because of the nature of the mission here. Going into round 5, I think on UKTC, when you're both 4-0, and then having to play scorched earth as well, you're just screaming for another draw, and it's really hard to be able to push them. I think
we have very different opinions on scorched earth. But
I always think it's just super drawy.
I think scorched earth is the easiest mission to blow someone out in.
I think it goes either way, right? It goes either way. You can, if you have the speed to be able to knock someone down to just holding 0s and 5s, and you're holding your 10s, then you can absolutely. I mean, if you hold someone to a 5 and you get 10s, right?
Yeah, but UKTC, you only build for round 5, right? None of the other rounds matter. You just bring a list and play scorched earth well.
I think that's something that we didn't do this tournament, and I think I've heard in podcasts and stuff before, and I've spoken to players before and stuff like. Players that are always expecting to go to UKTC Super Majors and go to round 5, 6, they're preparing their matrices for 5 and 6 all the time. And especially like being on the England teams beforehand and speaking to them, they were like, no, we're building our team comp for round 5 and 6 to play Ignite or something like that.
You think about Ignite, 4, right? You're like, we plan for 4, 5, and 6. Because realistically, if we play them before that, they're going to have done the same thing. We'll both be up in whatever territory. And round 3 is so round 3 being 6 taking hold is so standard anyway that it doesn't really matter. So you're basically like, if you plan for day 2 of 4, 5, and 6 at these ITT events, it's like unless you draw them exactly round 1 or 2. Which is like Terraforming Purge the 4 are such volatile missions anyway that what's the point? That you can kind of just go into it being like, all right, cool, we're playing Lynchpin and Scorched Earth. Those are both very similar, very standard missions on day 2, and then the round 6 is still Burton, or did they change that?
It's Terraform Hidden Supplies on Hammer and Anvil.
Miserable, don't plan for that either. If you make the finals, you'll be happy. Don't worry about it.
No, for sure. The strain on it is suddenly wild as well. When you look at it, you're like,
so did you feel going into this like they had a better set of armies for the missions, or what was the kind of the driving factor that made you feel like this was going to be more drawish?
I think also the fact that they just beaten the other England team, Robbo's team, that was currently looking one of the favourites to win the tournament, and they just pulled out a win in round 4 against them, and they were feeling great about it afterwards as well. Obviously, we also know them on a personal level mostly. Most of us all know each other, so.
Sure.
You understand the quality is up there already as well, on par, if not better than yourselves. So you're just always, I mean, when we go into the Matrix anyway, you're always assuming that the players are always going to be on your level or better than you anyway. That's how you're just trying to make your predictions.
Yeah, I look at your Matrix at an average of 3.5, and I definitely think respectful, right? That's one.
Yeah, but then if you go to the modified one down the bottom, then there's some that we've just obviously changed a few.
When it gets even better.
I guess, I know. But
okay, so what was the pairing strategy here? What were you trying? What did you guys first defend with? What were you first attacking with?
I think we ended up first defending with Martin in the end again, and we did get the light board here.
First defending with guard, truly an innovative strategy from the mind.
I know. We we ended up getting the light board, and we got the orcs again this time. Obviously, after coming back, he just got 17 into Mo, getting the orcs again into Courtney. We felt like this was a good matchup for us. Johnny, we got into the Windrider host. There was a lot, and not many of us had played the Windrider host, so it was a bit of an unknown for us. we kind of wanted him. We would liked him into the Emperor's Children, but they didn't work that way. We wanted me into the Necrons. Again, didn't work that way because again they also know the same thing. Me and Matt being on another team together, he knows that's not a good matchup because we've spoken about the matchup. Because before the event, I was like, "Oh, how do you think we do into blah blah blah?" Like we've been talking about this, so you know that they have similar information to you on this. So obviously we was never going to get that. They did first defend Grey Knights, I believe. So we put Kyle into them. So it would have been Kyle and imagine Chris here. They chose Kyle, and then Kyle's Matrix, he's got a small win into there, and obviously that didn't happen. It was a 10-10 in the end. He did say that Jonathan played this really well. He played really, really well in this one. But again, that's not quite hit the Matrix. But then on the reverse, the Orcs went up from a 3.5 to a 4. Maybe a 5 at the point of 16. So on round 1, we've already gone down on a Matrix point, and we've gone up a point and a half here. Chris was going into Necron. We got Chris into the Necrons here. Obviously, he got 8 points into AQC and then 20 points into Luke beforehand. But Matt was able to control the primary here, and like this on Scorched Earth, right? If he's able to,
this is a much harder mission for big demons to access that side objective on Scorched Earth
for sure
for getting that big win.
Yeah. I mean, they were on the board next to me, and you could see that the warrior brick was wrapped around on his natural expansion objective, just constantly just going back onto that, and that's the problem, right? When it's taking you off there and pushing you on the 5s, and he's taking the 10s. And then, if he's able to get an extra burn off as well on top of you're looking at around 15 at least minimum before that, maybe, or 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah,
just
the
based on the primary.
Yeah. The Demon's List also notably not the best at secondaries when it doesn't have full board control, which is just not going to get against an army like Necrons.
No, exactly. That's it. Johnny and James, I wasn't actually sure what was going on in the game. I didn't see.
If you can tell me with true honesty that you can walk up to an Admech versus Eldar board state and tell me exactly what's going on, no. I don't believe you. I don't care how good you are at Warhammer.
They were the last
board state, anyone can understand.
Yeah, they were the last game to happen, and we were just like, "Oh, what is going on there?" And they're like, "Oh, it looks like a 10-10." I was like, I couldn't tell you. Me and Raph was great. We had a couple swings in the round where 2 Blastmasters killed a unit of 5 or 6 possessed. It was a sustained squad, and he just rolled 3 6s, flipped 1 to a 6. I was like, cool. That's the 5 guys that were going to put you down to a 0 this turn. Gone. I had some rubrics come into his backfield, try a couple 9-inch charges, failed them to put him down to another 0, and it just like a couple swings that didn't work. He was able to angel sacrifice like one dude where I couldn't kill a whole Noise Marine squad with my Lord, and so he played really well. And we had a really nice game. He went second, it was like, came down to it. He was like, if I get this assassinate, redraw, I get this assassinate, then I get the 11. If not, we get a 10. And we just rolled it out, and he managed to like yeet down the board and kill Cypher. Also, I was trying to like overwatch him to death on the way forward with some rubrics, and it just didn't work. And he was like, cool, I'm not going to be on the objective. I'm just going to walk around you. And then he ended up just getting that last point. And in the end, we got the 51-49.
Very nice. So that did, at the end of round, leave you guys in with 4 wins and a draw as one of 3 teams with 4 wins and a draw, which put you guys into the final, where you guys did the rematch with Team England, where you guys came out just ahead on that. So overall, what was your thoughts on your comp? What was your thoughts on the event as a whole? How was the experience?
Experience was great. We had a massive Airbnb this time. We shared it with the team that we played round 1 with. Which was great on the Friday night. So we were all like going for beers and trying to like.
You're all like lying to each other.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're trying to sit on the laptop away from each other on the sofa, going, "Oh, you two still talking about comp?" And you're like, "Yeah," like, and just the people just generally shit talking each other a little bit. But that was good fun. Yeah, and then we had a massive like 20-man kind of meal on the Saturday night, because we had, I think, 4 or 5 of our players playing on the England teams as well. So that's why the A team and the B teams and stuff were all split up this time. We all did different comp to last time, because Dom and Louis, that won the ITT last time, were playing with Josh on one of the England teams, and Alex was playing on one of the England teams as well. But yeah, the experience was really good. I think the comp we were really happy with in the end. I was really happy that we added the extra anti-tank into like Kyle's list, because when he went into the Marine matchups, it really helped him be able to push them. We were, I think, able to deal with the lists that we wanted to deal with. A little bit
you guys said built a plan for Necrons. You put against Necrons every round or almost every round.
Yeah,
So
I think we
definitely
played
looks like
in
it came up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, a couple ones like here we got 6 points, but still we didn't get blown out by them at all.
Yeah, the Necrons
that was the worst one for us.
Like you guys played the major Necron players in round 1, round 4, and round 5, and you got a 20, an 8, and a 6 into them, right? If that's the army that you're the most worried about across the roster, and you put 34 out of 60 into it, like that's a pretty good day at the office as far as I'm concerned.
100%. Right? We didn't really face much Inari that we were going into. We thought that CK would be out there as a counter to. We thought CK would be there as a counter to a lot of our stuff, and we played it once. So there were some armies that we did lean into that we just didn't get that much. They didn't come up too much. Like in the top row, we didn't. In the last day 2, we didn't play guard at all. There was no guard mirrors or anything like that, which we thought there'd be a lot more guard combined arms out there to go against. But overall, I think the comp was great. It was good having a couple faction experts on it. Again, like on the 5-mans, you necessarily wouldn't take some of the lists, but having people that were more refined on the reps, I think really paid off for us. Obviously, some of the information on our matrix wasn't correct at times, but still sometimes being able to overperform on other occasions was great, and to leverage sometimes the player skill really helped just by knowledge of their own faction, and Johnny's case in point of that, being able to always overperform his matrix just based on his player skill, and sometimes the opponent's just not knowing what he's doing.
Yeah, Johnny managed to put 78 points across the Swiss with the Admech with 4 wins and a draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which was the 2nd or 3rd highest score of the Swiss. With obviously Gustavo on Team Sigil putting on 89 with his guard, Martin putting out 70, 84 with his across the Swiss as well. So just some really strong performances out of that guard army. How do you feel about the sort of the UKTC meta game right now, and the way the list direction is being driven by the boards? Like, how's that impacting your team choice? Is there anything you would do differently if you're playing in sort of like a different terrain format? If you were going to go with these lists again, what changes for you?
Well, I was already looking at Ward. We've got Ward of Roses coming up at the end of the month. We're looking at stuff like the guard list and going, well, do you really want to run 5 tanks on that triple vanquisher? Are you really getting like the same running on UKTC? You get some crazy firing angles that sometimes you just don't get on other board types. The week before, we played at a tournament that ran WDC, GW, and UKTC formats, and you get to do board pick of each one. So it was like kind of fun to pick different boards and trying to see how different armies work on different ones. GW is like fundamentally a lot different. Like when you suddenly play that, I think like my army in particular, like it still works on WTC.
Yeah, you're honestly probably going to be happier, right, with the 20%. Fitting them in anywhere outside of like the super ruin on UKTC is very difficult, right? And they benefit a lot from the lack of inch wall blocking on WTC boards as well, right?
Yes, of course, yeah. But on the reverse, in UKTC they do benefit from the inch wall blocking. You go, cool, I'm going to have 10 possessed here, and you cannot charge this like area, this whole area kind of thing. But it just comes unstuck.
People spent a lot of time charging you as possessed, yeah.
Some people, I don't know, but some people did. But but then like on sweep and engagement, it just doesn't work. Like there's sometimes, and I think going forward, I think we'd look maybe to build for round 4, 5, 6 more so.
Especially if you guys are going to be consistently making it to the top cut in the finals, right? It makes sense to do to be kind of angling towards that a little bit more. Right now that you've shown you can get there, make sure that when you get there, you're beating other teams that are doing the same thing. I think
it's just the 3rd ITT in a row. I think it was I was 1 game away from the final, and this was the third time in a row I was 1 game away from the final and finally made it. But like it's like, well, the last 3 ITTs have been 1 game away, so actually we should be teching towards these rounds because we've been there in contention every time. And that was with the other team. That's with the Crocksuckers team as well. So, and knowing that we have multiple teams that could potentially get to the final like every time, I think we've already had a teams captain meeting as well before, looking forward to the future ITTs and how we select teams. Like now we've won 2 ITTs with 2 different rosters. How do we pick who gets to go in the normal My Glimmers team and the Crocksuckers and then the D's Nuts, and like how are we gonna like balance this? Because realistically, we view everyone on the
Everybody
same.
wants a shot at winning.
No,
Who
100%,
wants to-
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we're just trying to do like a round robin of like a I guess a conclave of captains all putting in their input, because normally like Dom would just come in and go, I think this team would do it well, and then we like pick and choose little people and change them around. But I think now we're going to go as more of a general consensus together, as more of a collective effort to pick people based on their factions, based on how they're playing recently. Like
try to build 2 or 3 strong teams rather than the single strongest team. No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because I think realistically we have the ability to have all 3 teams go 4-1 at every event. It's like, okay, maybe we do want one smashing team, and then the other 2 teams will still be able to be up there competing. How do we balance that? And that's based on faction and player recent results, and have you won recent super majors and stuff. Like, beginning of the year, having like Will and Nick and Martin come second at a super major and stuff. It's like, well, and then people win an ITT, and then new people win an ITT. You can't then turn around and say to them and go, oh, well, now you're going to like,
you won ITT. You're going to, well, come on, what are you going to do? Not pick me? I was on the team that won.
No, 100%. It's just trying to manage personalities and stuff.
Not everybody can play on the same team with everybody, right? Like that's 100%, always 100%. part of the difficulty with this. No, for sure.
So I think we're trying to make it like a charter around that, and trying to like make a more clear like selection process and stuff, so that everyone can kind of see everything, can go. Everyone's also going to have opportunities to go to other team tournaments, and like not just ITTs, but we're going to be looking to we're going to Glasshammer teams tournament coming up. We've got Lord's War coming up. Yeah, War of the Roses coming up as well. So we're looking to go like not just to UKTC events. We want to play on GW and WTC terrains as well, and everyone's going to get the opportunities to play on their teams and win, hopefully.
Well, we're going to try to have something to say about that, as always. We'll see. There's always room for more draws at the top end, right?
As long as you don't play me with Bio into T-Suns again, then we'll be okay.
I still
blame Nas. I blame Nas.
I think blaming Nas is fair. You should blame Nas for lots of things. I blame Nas for many, many things, and I'm always correct. Right, Jack. So this has been the first episode of the StatCheck Mind Goblins collaboration. If you guys want to hear more, you want to hear from more other Mind Goblins members, drop a comment in below. Let us know who you want to hear from. If you're at a couple of event with a Mind Goblin, go and say hi. Let them know that we sent you. Jack, is there anything you want to plug? Anything that people should be looking out for? Obviously, you guys are at War of the Roses next weekend, so if anybody's there, do go and say hi.
We got a couple weekends. It's the end of the month, so a few weekends away in Cardiff.
Weekends, sure.
Yeah.
So Cardiff in a few weeks. So keep an eye out for the Mind Goblins there. You'll obviously see them traipsing around in their purple jerseys at various UKTC events. And I think they've even got some members infiltrating the Team England roster and stuff like that now. So I'm sure you'll see them all around. Otherwise, we'll be back sometime next month. We're aiming to do one of these a month with a Mind Goblins member. So we'll be back to talk about an upcoming event. Possibly it'll be the upcoming War of the Roses. Possibly it'll be something else. Maybe we'll talk to the guys that are on the Team England squad about what it's like transitioning from being part of an independent team to going and playing for your national team. We've got a whole bunch of coverage that we can do, and I'm really looking forward to doing it all with the guys. So, anything you want to shout out at the end here, Jack?
Well, shout out Alex for making the England 8. For one, we're definitely super proud of him for making that, for sure. But yeah, if anyone sees us at War of the Roses in a few weeks' time, definitely come and say hello.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Please do remember to do all the usual interaction things. But definitely, what I want you to do is leave a comment and tell Mind Goblins how cool they are, how awesome their name is, and how well they did at ITT. And that will be the best thing you can do for us. Otherwise, we'll be back sometime next month to chat more with the Mind Goblins. Thanks, Jack, for being with us, and we shall catch you all next time as I very quickly jump to my outro video.